The town of Denton, Texas, there are as many as 280 active natural gas wells. Many of those wells have been used for fracking. It's a technique that involves pumping millions of gallons of a mixture of water, chemicals, and sand into rock formations deep underground. And according to energy reporter Jim Malowitz, those Denton gas wells, quote, sit near homes, schools, even across the street from the stadium where the University of North Texas's Mean Green plays football. Denton is on the edge of the Barnett Shale, the largest source of natural gas in the state of Texas, which stretches 5,000 square miles beneath more than a dozen counties. And given all this, there was enough concern in the Denton community that residents of Denton voted last November on Texas's first ban on fracking. But the Texas legislature now appears to be on the verge of banning the banning of fracking. That's right. A bill that would undercut any local Texas laws banning fracking has now passed through the Republican-controlled legislature and has been sent to the state's Republican Governor Greg Abbott, who is expected to sign it. Joining me now, the mayor of Denton, Texas, Chris Watts. Mayor Watts, why'd you guys down there decide to ban fracking?
Well, Chris, that was an interesting phenomenon. Basically, we had a situation where we passed an ordinance in 2013 that increased the setbacks for oil and gas wells from residential neighborhoods and protected uses. Well, right after that, a few months after that, an operator was coming in to rework a well and to re-drill a new well that violated that particular setback. And because of a legal doctrine of vested rights in the state of Texas, basically our ordinance didn't apply was the claim. And so the residents, that was sort of it for the residents, and they band together and obtained 2,000 signatures. And pursuant to our charter, they presented us with a petition initiative referendum to ban, with an ordinance to ban hydraulic fracturing. And they got the required signatures, brought it before the city council. The city council denied the ordinance as far as accepting it at this council level in order to send it to the vote of the citizens, because this was citizen initiated and it really should have been citizen decided, and it was in November about 59% to 41%.
So let me get this straight. You guys first you start with a sort of measure that just limits fracking, and then the gas companies come back and say, well, actually we can override your limits, which then precipitates the citizens to say, oh, no, okay, fine, if that's the way you're going to play, we're just going to ban you outright. Passes all of Denton. Now you got the governor and the Texas state legislature basically telling you Denton can't do that. What do you think of that?
Well, Chris, we sort of expected something. I mean, the morning after November the 4th, probably about 8 o'clock, we had 2 lawsuits filed against us from the Texas General Land Office and Texas Oil and Gas Association. We anticipated that, and with the legislature coming into session shortly thereafter the vote, we also anticipated some legislation that may limit our ability to enforce or for that ban to even be active.
So what do you think of it? I mean, is this the right thing for the state of Texas to reach down to a municipality whose citizens have decided they want to be governed a certain way and tell them they can't do it?
Well, I tell you, it's a very interesting issue. I know at the city level, as mayor, I'm charged with protecting the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens. The citizens voted to ban the process of hydraulic fracturing, and the state legislature picked it up and decided that, you know, the oil and gas industry in Texas has an overriding interest to try to, I think the attempt was to try to balance mineral interests with surface right interests. Of course, in the state of Texas, mineral interests are dominant. In other words, they sort of trump surface interests. So in some ways, people began to see that this ban was a way to sort of take away individual property rights of the mineral owners. But for me, it's really a more narrow issue of urban drilling. There's a lot of drilling that goes on in the state of Texas, but this new urban drilling is a new phenomenon that really does, I think, require some additional measures to protect the health and safety of the citizens, also the nuisance values of light and noise and truck. I had a gentleman call me during the campaign at 10 o'clock at night because his house was lit up like a football field, as he said, because they were doing work, and it just was really untenable for them to get some kind of quality of life. Yeah,
natural gas fracking extraction, it brings into urban centers and residential areas things that had formerly not been in those residential centers. And Oklahoma is got the same page out of the Texas playbook. Lawmakers there trying to ban fracking bans as well. So you guys are going to be an interesting test case. Denton Mayor Chris Watts, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, up next, what the NFL